I'm making myself very vulnerable. And when I make myself very vulnerable, I'm opening myself up to criticism. And I think that is a big reason why people don't ask for help. Hey there. Welcome to Unboxing It, a podcast by Lara Wellman and me, Rowan Knox. Each week, we tackle societal ideas and expectations that can stop us from leading full and authentic lives. We're so glad you're joining us. Let's get started. Welcome to this episode of Unboxing It. I am Rowan.
And I'm Lara.
And today we are going to talk about a thing that I think is going to make some people feel called out. Learning to ask for help.
hmm Although I will say it sounds like from some of the feedback that we've gotten from the podcast so far, potentially most of our episodes are making people feel called out.
Yeah, there's a lot of people who are like, I'm like uncomfortable at how much I feel called out by this, but also thank you at the
hmm
same time. So I feel like all these societal messages that we are talking about really are, in fact, societal messages that are crossing generational gaps and various other demographics.
Yeah, it's time to talk about them more. And so that's why we're just going to keep unboxing all these things.
Oh, that was really good. That was some good marketing there. Just bringing that segue back into the name of the podcast. That's why we have you here, Ms. Wellman. So this is actually not as hard for me as I think it is for a lot of people. But I'm going to tell you a bit of a backstory to explain why. So I wasn't necessarily raised to ask for help. We're Gen X kids, the two of us, and Gen X kids were largely told to fend for themselves. Like it was really that whole stereotype of, being kicked out in the morning in the summer and like go find something to do and running around with your friends, whatever it is you're doing all day, and like coming home when the street lamps come on, like that was my childhood. I don't know about you, Laura, but
Yeah, I mean, I think I had a little bit more of an overprotective mom, but like compared to what that means now, like that is not what that meant then.
like Gen X overprotective.
Yeah,
Like
it's
that's
very
yeah.
different.
My mom used to be like, you can go to the park, but you can't go alone. You have to go with a friend. And that was weird because most of my friends would just be going to the park on their own. Like that.
Yeah.
So, yes, I'm with you on that. I did sometimes have to check in once or twice during the day, but really, I learned that if there was a problem, I had to deal with it on my own. That takes me to the tender age of 14. And at 14 years old, I sat down with my parents after getting into a lot of trouble, getting kicked out of school, running away from home a whole bunch, and just being in a really bad place. And I said, I'm having a hard time. I can't stop drinking. Every time I'm stressed, I drink. Every time I'm sad, I drink. And I don't know what to do about it. And to make a long story short, my mom got on the phone with anybody who would listen. She called everywhere, she talked to everybody. And finally, somebody said, yes, we can get your child into a rehab center. So I went to a live in rehab center for 6 months. That changed my perspective on asking for help because I did ask for help. I received the help, and that help ultimately saved my life. I learned that I didn't have to go at it alone. And even in the rest of my life where I've run into tricky situations, I've been able to tap into the resources that are available and ask for that help. But that is me. And that is a rare find I have found.
Yeah, I think that there are some people who never want to ask for help. There are some people who will ask for help like around certain categories of things, but other ones they won't, right? Like there's certain ways that we feel about what it means about us to ask for help. And I think that's why most people don't want to ask for help. It's not because they're trying to not be a burden, it's because they're worried that by asking for help, that is going to say something about who they are.
My partner went on stress leave a little while ago. And I remember, even in that situation, her feeling worried that going on stress leave, asking her doctor for help, asking for that time off from her employer would put her in a situation where she might be viewed as less trustworthy, less reliable, right? She would be seen perhaps as a burden. And if they were to do some layoffs, she might end up at the top of the list. So, what do you do when you're dealing with something and you're afraid that asking for help might make it worse?
It's tricky, right? Because there are going to be some people who think that, and there are some people who aren't going to think that. Like, I think that this is that whole, like, there's no one size fits all, like, oh, don't worry about it. Like, I think there is some nuance here, right? Like, we need to really think about who we're talking to and understand it a bit. At the same time, asking for help and feeling like that means that maybe we're weak or that we're incapable or that we don't know as much as we're supposed to know, like all of that kind of stuff. If we reframe what that means into it being like, I'm trying to do something better for everybody, right? Like the idea that we have to do everything alone makes no sense to me, but it's so societally praised.
Yeah, it's seen as a strength somehow. And it's funny because we are communal animals. Like we are meant to be in groups, work in groups. Universally, this is true. And everybody, of course, likes their alone time to some extent, some of us more than others, but we function as a society because it is imperative we do. So then why do we talk about this idea that people are lonelier than ever? This idea that people feel more isolated than ever, and that we all should come together and spend more time and do more and share more. And then at the same time say, oh, but also if you have a problem, it's a good idea to just deal with it on your own because that's what strong people do. And can I say, I'm just going to say this, I've noticed this more in male culture than I have anywhere else. I don't know if you find that as well, but I will say, as a trans guy, moving from largely female dominated spaces to now sort of tiptoeing into male dominated spaces, the male dominated spaces, there is a lot more of that toxic belief that you should just go it alone on everything.
Which is so terrible because do you know how bad it is for all the women I've been talking to? Like, to think it's even worse is very disheartening. I totally believe you. It totally makes sense. I haven't witnessed it a lot, but like it's so frustrating to me that we're all trying to do things alone when we don't need to. And I mean, you're right. We are communal beings. I think, they say, again, this is when everybody's going to learn. I like to say I've heard things, but I can't tell you who I heard it from or whether it's true. But that, living communally was like for parenting, for example, like the fact that people are trying to raise kids without any support system truly is harder than other ways of raising kids. Like it is absolutely easier to have a community of people who are looking out for your kids as you're raising them. But our whole society has become, well, North American society is all about just you. And like many of the things that we talk about, I'm sure that I believe capitalism is hugely to blame because it's all about competition. How can you be the best? How can you prove to everybody that you're at the top? And if it's all about you being at the top and not some kind of communal well being, then that means we can't bring in the other people.
Yeah, we operate in silos for sure. It is a lot about getting what's mine. And unfortunately, getting what's yours can come at a big price because it can land us into situations where, there's, I want to go back because I think there's like this expectation of success as well that plays into this. So we hear a lot of talk about, well, at your age, you should have a family and then you should have a home and you should have a job and you should have a car. And I'm just throwing some stuff out here. It's different for everybody, but these are sort of common beliefs. Like at my age, for example, I should have a home. My home should be paid off because I'm nearing 50 now. And all my children should be growing up and going to university. And, I should be probably at the highest high of my career at my age, right? Shouldn't be too much further up I can go. I should be there and making a good amount of money. And I should be able to pay all of my bills. And I should be happy. I should be happy because I have made it. That's making it. And I should be with a partner and be in love. And I mean, I could just go on and on and on. And what if one or more of those things is not true? That then can be seen as failure. I'm failing in some areas and I'm going to look bad to other people. They're going to view me differently. And then I'm not going to necessarily tell somebody if, say, my relationship is falling apart, or if one of my kids is struggling really hard in school or with mental health, or if my own mental health is not in a good place, or if I don't really make that much money and I'm way behind on my bills. And the minute that I start telling people about that, which can be the gateway to asking for more help and support, I'm making myself very vulnerable. And when I make myself very vulnerable, I'm opening myself up to criticism. And I think that is a big reason why people don't ask for help.
Absolutely. If you think about that, right? Like, so if it's at work, and I know that there are a lot of people who really struggle to ask for help at work, they want to try to prove to the people that hired them that they're very capable, and therefore asking for help might make it seem like they are not very capable. And these are the like, how do we change the conversation? So you're not coming up to people and saying, like, hey, Rowan, I'm really bad at the thing you wanted me to do and hired me to do. So can you help me be good at it? Like, that is not how, if you think about it, of course, if you think that way, you're going to feel like it's a very bad idea to do that. But if you think instead that it's something like, I know you're really knowledgeable about a thing. I can't be knowledgeable about everything until, well, ever, but I'm not always knowledgeable about something until I've done it. And I am much better off to ask you to help me figure it out. It might take 5 or 10 minutes than for me to spend 2 days trying to figure it out on my own. That is actually not better for anybody. So if you think about it as like gaming the system, I don't know what kind of hack you can do it, but like if you flip it so that when you think asking for help isn't a bad thing, like it's not something that's like uncovering your weaknesses, but it's something that lets you be the best that you could be or that you want to be, it just takes away so much of the angst that comes from asking for help.
Yeah, it's empowering. It's actually, I think, one of the things that has come with age for me is this confidence in not having all the answers. And if I don't have all the answers, because hey, I'm a human, and hey, like you said, I can't possibly know everything, as brilliant as I am.
I know. I do know a lot though.
I mean, I do know a lot, but I think like it then becomes an act of empowerment for me to seek out that information rather than a weakness for me to seek out that information. But it does require vulnerability. And I'm going to go back to that again because, ooh, humans, we do not like to be vulnerable.
No.
We do not like it because it's like opening yourself up and then giving power over to whoever you're opening yourself up to support you in that and not criticize and harm you for it.
Yeah. And I think in a lot of ways, we're taught to expect people to try to attack us if given the chance, to try to overpower us or to push us down. Like, there's certainly a lot of messages in the world that tell us people are not going to be nice if we give them the opportunity to not be nice.
Yeah, I think the internet has shown us that for sure, which I think leads me to a piece of advice or a suggestion that I would make, which is if you're feeling particularly vulnerable about asking for help, be careful where you ask for help. If you're just asking a standard question and you want to hit as many people as possible for that answer, then asking online is a great idea. Sometimes for more sensitive stuff, especially if this is not your forte, going to the internet first might be a bad idea. But there are certainly some people in most of our lives that we can feel safer with. And I think those are the people that it would serve us best to go to them first.
Yeah. Know who your safe people are. There's a concept that my friend Jenny Mitchell wrote about in her book, which is having like your own personal board of directors. Like, who are the people that you think of as the people you go to when you need to solve a problem, when you need to figure out what's going to come next? So that's probably for like bigger life decisions, but it's still good to know like who are your people? Like spending some time thinking about that is a good idea. Understanding who can help you with what, when, and why. If you don't have anybody that you trust, maybe it's time to go looking for some new people too.
Yeah, I think sometimes these lessons of, yeah, ask somebody like, why don't you ask for help on that? And they'll say, I'm tired of relying on people. I just get burned. Right.
Mm,
I mean, that's an old wound. That's a trauma, if you will. And we learn those things early on. As someone with childhood trauma, with a childhood trauma disorder, I have complex PTSD. It can be harder for someone like me to trust because I was taught not to trust from a very young age. And I have had to learn where to safely trust people. So, for example, not all the doctors that I've met are doctors that I would go to for a problem,
mhm.
but I really like my family doctor. I trust him a lot. And I feel like I can tell him just about anything, and he's going to help me solve the problem. Right. So it is a question of surrounding yourself with as many people as you can who you know you can rely on. And I also think that vulnerability is almost a muscle that we have to exercise. If you're not used to being vulnerable and asking for help, I think putting out the really big thing can be daunting, too daunting, and you might not do it. You can start small, just small little things. Maybe you need help decluttering your bedroom, and maybe your sister might be someone to ask to help you with that, right? Like you can start with these small things. Maybe, and I mean, for someone else to be like, well, yeah, of course I'd ask for help with that. But hear me out. Like, not everybody is there. Not everybody is used to asking for help for something like that. That might seem shameful. Like, I don't want someone to see my messy bedroom. But if you really need help, find those little tiny things to get help with and build up from there.
Yeah. And I did have an instance where I invited some friends to help me declutter, and that shame was the biggest thing that made it difficult because you're like, why can't I do this by myself? Like, I should be able to do this by myself. How did it get this messy? Like, ugh, right? But in an instant, the 2 friends I asked to help me with it were like, "Yes," came, helped me get so much of it done. And then I was just talking to one of them again. I was like, "I might need that kind of help again." And here's the other thing is, I'm like, "But I'm gonna put a boundary on it, which is you can't ask me to get rid of everything. Unless it was my idea to get rid of it. Like, we're gonna sort it, we're gonna organize it, but if you are gonna ask me to get rid of stuff, I can't do it right now, right? Like right now, my feelings around my stuff has to come from me. And if you keep asking me to, I'm not gonna cope. So I put a boundary around it. And she said, okay, I will not ask you to get rid of stuff, only if you want to. And it's amazing. People are like, okay, right? Like when you ask for help, there's so many people who want to help. And I think the flip side and how you feel about helping people is a good reminder, but we don't think about that a lot, right? So, do you like helping people, right? Like, if somebody that I love needs help and I can help them, even somebody that I just know, right? Like, I mean, I guess that's part of the reason I'm a coach because that is part of what I really like doing. But I really like to help people. So, why don't I want to let other people have the opportunity to help me? It's when you think not asking for help is selfish. We're going to just flip it around. It's selfish not to ask for help. No, you are denying your loved ones the opportunity to do something that feels good for them.
It's true. First of all, if we still lived in the same city, I would be your decluttering bestie
Yeah.
because I love decluttering. Big L love. It is one of my favorite things to do to the point where if I wasn't doing the stuff that I'm doing now, That would be my business. I would
Mm.
go into people's homes and I would just work magic because we're all good at something. So if you were to ask me to come help you, I would have a great time. I would get something out of it, not just because I love decluttering, but also because I care about you and it would
Mhm.
make me feel really good. You've helped me in the past. Now I get to help you. That reciprocity, whew, that I had to pull that one out of my brain. That I was like, what is the word? Rowan, use the word. After we're done this episode, I'm gonna go Google the word and make sure that I both used the right one and used it correctly.
I believe you did.
HRT. I'm just gonna put it out there as an aside. Testosterone made me a little less smart than I used to be. That's the truth. That's the truth. But I'm hoping that my charm makes up for it because the confidence that I have in myself as a man is through the roof because of course it
Exactly.
is.
Of course it is.
Of course it is. So it kind of makes up for it. Anyway, I digress. I also think that vulnerability in asking for help, vulnerability in any way, sharing a story like I did. I opened up with a story with this and I told everyone I went to rehab at 14 years old. That's not a thing that most people are just going to share right at the start. That could be considered oversharing in some circles, but on a podcast, I felt like it was appropriate. Also, I've written about it twice in books. But I made myself vulnerable. And what I hope that does every time I do it, and every time I do ask for help, then I am making it okay for everyone else in proximity to me that for them to do the same thing, right? If I'm being vulnerable with you, I've just shared something very personal. You now can share something very personal with me. If I'm asking for help and showing that that's okay, I sincerely hope that you now know it is okay to do the same. So I think the way to break this cycle in society in general is for more of us to just do it. Just be honest. Be honest where we're at. It goes right down to, I mean, you go to the grocery store. Hi, how are you today? Good. And yourself? Good, thanks. We don't mean it. Nobody means it, right? We just say it. And that's okay because like we're not gonna have a big, emotional sesh with the cashier. They have five people behind you they need to see. So like that's okay. But it really does speak to this idea that everyone's supposed to be okay in polite society all the time. And if you're not, that's weird. And I really do think that that is directly related to our inability to ask for help sometimes.
Yes, I agree. And I think there's so many layers to it, right? Like I think I'm thinking about so many of them to the point that I think generations older than us also are just supposed to be agreeable. I feel like that's more a thing in generations older than us. So like they whatever it is, I don't need help. I'm okay. I don't want to bother you. I feel like that can be a reason that we don't ask for help. I think talking about all of this stuff makes a huge difference. I've talked a lot about my ADHD, and I think that being honest with people that like I'm not always good at following up on things. So if I drop a ball, just tell me. And then other people are like astonished that I'll just say, I might forget. But I'm like, but it's true. And I don't need to be perfect. And that's a whole other topic. I don't need to be perfect. Well, we talked about perfectionism before, but the fear of failure is a whole other topic we could dig into sometime. And then there's one last thing that I was thinking as we were talking, which is something that I struggle with sometimes. Maybe I know I need help, but I don't know what that help is. And if I don't know what I need to ask for, I think I need to figure it out before I can ask for it. And that's where people don't like, they're like, I don't know what I need. How am I supposed to ask for help? I don't understand what isn't working. I don't understand that I need help, even maybe, right? Like, I'm just like, I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, because it can get all muddled sometimes. But that's where talking it out with somebody can really help. That's where having a good friend can really help too. I just go, How are you feeling today? Not great, actually. What's going on? I don't know. I don't know, but something's not right. And I don't really know what I need right now. It's also okay to not know what you need.
It is. And I've realized that I am more of a verbal processor than I thought. My therapist and I were talking about this recently, where I can't be the kind of person who just says, I know something's up. I need to make an appointment because I won't do it. But if we have a regular session where I'm just going to talk, that's how I figure out what's wrong.
Yeah, yeah. I actually think that's going to be more helpful for people than you might even realize, having just said that, because I'm like that too. And I did not realize that until you said it. And like, why do I always talk about my feelings? Like, I'm the talk about your feelings guy. I am like probably the guy that a lot of girls say that they want, but like 20% more than that, like a
Not
little
that
extra.
much.
A little, yeah, exactly. Oh, hold back there, Rowan. We also want to watch TV together without having to talk about our feelings all the time. But that is a thing for me where sometimes I just need to go "Bleh," and just like get it all out. And in that, I kind of look at what it is that I just spewed out into the world. And I go, oh, there it is, right there. There. That's the thing that's actually bothering me. That's what I need help with. So see, you help me with your vulnerability, and now you can help others.
See, this is what this is all about. This is what I love because I like helping people.
I know. It's a nice trait. One of the other things I was thinking is that this also falls into people pleasing. I don't think we touched on that yet, but I really want to say it because as a recovering people pleaser who still has the odd slip up, that's where I get stuck in asking for help sometimes, where I don't want to burden the other people around me. Like, I have this chronic lower back issue right now. It's driving me crazy. And I was telling you earlier, I wear a chest binder because I'm a trans guy and I'm waiting for top surgery. And when I go out and during the day, I tend to wear a binder to kind of squish everything down. And the thing that's starting to happen after over a year of doing this is my lower back is really starting to hurt me. And I have found that I'm hesitant to ask for help because in my mind, I should be able to do the yard work. I should be able to unload the dishwasher. I should be, and like, why would I ask somebody else who just worked all day? Or why would I ask this person who, like, it's like we all have lives, we all have problems. I can manage it. And that's me trying to people please, right? I want to make everyone else around me happy. I want to put everybody else ahead of me. All of them, their problems are bigger, their lives are busier, and therefore I should just do it. And my partner actually sat me down and was like, you need to stop doing this. Like, it
Mm.
is actually driving me crazy that you are not asking for help in this regard. Like, I know you're sore. I can do it. I'm not sore, and you're still not asking me. I'm like, well, I don't want to be, oh, you're going to love this term, lazy.
Uh-oh.
Uh-huh, uh-huh. I don't want to be lazy because the idea of me sitting down while she does that makes me feel terrible. But it doesn't make her feel terrible. She wants to help me. So yeah, people pleasing can definitely play a big role in this.
And so I totally get that because even though I don't think lazy is a thing, if my husband starts cleaning while I'm watching TV, it feels, and I know for a fact that it's not what he's trying to say to me. It feels like I am not being a good partner if I let him tidy up while I'm watching TV, right? Like now you're doing more than me. Now I feel bad that you're doing that and I didn't do that before because I could have done it before. I was just sitting here, right? Like all of it comes up in like this like it's totally inside me.
Yep.
But like that's the thing. The judgment, it doesn't just come from other people. Like internalized a million different things. It's true, right? Like I judge myself more than I think anybody else does. And when I slowly learn to catch myself in it and be like, that's not what I should believe, then I can start to change it. Like knowing something is the first step.
It's true. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, recognizing where it's coming from. And a lot of times this is just internal messaging. We just have these little, well, we use tapes I've noticed that. Like, it's like a tape just playing around. You tell that to somebody who's, Gen Z, and they sort of look at you like, what do you mean a tape? That's just, but it's true. It's just on repeat, right? It's this message over. And I have the exact same one, by the way. The idea of someone cleaning while I'm resting. Wow. No, no, can't do that. That would make me a terrible person. So, yeah, totally hear you on that. What do you think is the thing that you have the hardest time asking for help with?
That's a good question. Again, I think part of it is not even thinking to ask for help. Like, I do think one of my biggest things isn't even allowing myself to think I should need help, let alone asking for it. I do ask for help in some things, but others. So, what do I not feel comfortable asking for help with? I think it's things that might make it seem like I'm incapable, that I'm not, for example, holding my weight, that I'm not able to adult by myself, that I'm not a capable person in all that it's meant to be, to whatever I've defined. I guess it's not even societal, like whatever I've decided makes me a capable person. If suddenly, like if I need help with something, like, can you help me make dinner? No big deal. If I need help with, I don't know, let's say I needed to ask somebody for money, that would make me feel really, really vulnerable and uncomfortable. If I had to tell somebody that I wasn't able to take care of something for my children by myself, like it's all that kind of stuff, right? Like, what are people gonna say or think, or me? What am I gonna think if I need help with something that I think adults should be able to do without help?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's really pretty common, right?
Yeah.
Because again, it goes back to those societal expectations of where you're supposed to be at this time in your life.
Hmm.
And some of that is, what you've come to believe, and some of that is what you've been told from the get-go, right? My big thing that I've started asking for help with more recently, it's not the lower back thing actually, that I was really embarrassed about for a very long time. I have a on again, off again health anxiety. So people might know it. There's a lot of different names for health anxiety disorders. One of them being the older term of hypochondria, right?
Hmm.
Always thinking there's something wrong. So for me, it will be I have some kind of probably very benign symptom. And in my mind, it just jumps to absolute worst case scenario, like a headache is a brain tumor or gas is some kind of colon cancer. Like, this is what happens. And I understand logically that that is ridiculous, right? That, like, that is the least likely thing that whatever is going on is. And that, it's not persistent enough or whatever that I should go seek help for it. This just came up in the last 2 or 3 days or something, right? And I used to be really quiet about it because I was so ashamed because it is kind of laughable when you say it out loud, right? But it's a real disorder and it's something that I have tools to deal with. But when I get really, really stressed out in other areas of my life, I have a lot of other things going on. My brain tries to find something to hyper focus on, and that's what it will focus on. And what I've started doing, which has been very hard, is I have a very small, trusted group of people that I can say, so anyway, this thing is happening in my body. And what I'm telling myself is this. And I know it's not that, but I just need to say it out loud and
Hmm.
get you to also tell me that it's not that. And we might have a little laugh about it, but it's a gentle laugh. It's not a judgmental laugh, right? It's like shining a big spotlight on the monster and making it run away. And that helps me long term because it helps me kind of go, yeah, you know what? Now my brain understands that it's more likely this and I'm good. But when I didn't do that and my other tools didn't work, I could obsess on things for hours or days or even weeks that honestly were not a big deal. So that's where asking for help, even with the really hard stuff, can be really beneficial. And that's where building your circle of trust to be able to do that can make a difference.
And that's where the practicing makes it easier because, while that sounds like this huge thing to ask for, it probably is the first time. But by the time you've done it 20 times or, every time you're like a little worried, Like the thing I might say is the story I'm telling myself right now is this terrible, 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 right?
Right.
But if you've set it up in a place where in your life it's normal to just say, I'm verbalizing this, I need your feedback. One for me is that I need people to watch me lock the front door and then jiggle it to prove that it's locked. And
Hmm.
if I don't say, okay, watch me do this, I will drive away and then have to come back because I'm not sure I did it.
Yep.
So it's just standard now. So many people, my friends, my family, know. I'll be like, I locked it. And they'll be like, you locked it. And then that's it. That's all it took, right? But like the first time you'd be like, I don't know why I need to ask people to do this for me. Like it feels silly, but now it's just normal. So when you find the little things, I think this is true across the board. The little things that we can do to make life easier are worth doing.
Yeah, that's what it is. I really hope that this episode is a way for people to see that they are no more broken, if you will, than anyone else, right? We all have our things we need help with. And I use the term broken because that's the story we often tell ourselves. I'm so dysfunctional. I'm so broken. I need so much help. And when we all get more vulnerable, we all get more honest with each other, you start to see that, hey, that isn't actually the case. There's this idea sometimes when I meet people, when I do book signings or whatever, and they'll say, your life just seems so perfect, so put together. I'm like, well, first of all, you need to read my books a little more closely, but also, that's what everyone's life often looks like from the outside. Not everybody, but most of us have we have a skill set that allows us to go out into the world and put our best foot forward. And what we're showing there isn't the whole story. The whole story is that we all have issues and we all need somebody else from time to time. And I really, really want to drive that home that if you are listening right now and you are struggling with something, you are absolutely not alone in struggling with something, and that your something is not way worse than other people's somethings. It probably seems that way, just like every time that I have some health anxiety scare, I'm convinced that I am so broken and so weird and so, that nobody's going to, how could anybody listen to me and support me and love me through it? And yet, that's what happens every time. So it's okay to not be okay. And it is okay to ask for help.
And even if that help is to have somebody help you figure out what you need help with, right? Like it's okay to just be uncertain. It's okay to not be positively confident about everything. And the more we can let ourselves figure that stuff out, the better we are. And I think that that's why podcasts like this, I know it's true in a lot of the stuff that I share. The reason that people like it so much is because nobody realizes that most people think that. They think they're the only one in this little bubble feeling terrible and not being good at something. And when we're all like, hey, do you realize most people feel that way? They're like, what? No. And normalizing talking about this stuff, I think, is really important.
Let's all be broken together. No, that's not what I want to end with. Nope, that's not it.
No. I think let's all believe that asking for help and asking for what we need, because sometimes it doesn't feel like help, right? Like, I don't know that somebody double checking and lock the door is help so much as just asking for what we need and knowing that we deserve to get the things that we need. Like, that is worth figuring out how to do and not shying away from.
See, that's why I don't do this podcast alone. You are the wise woman on the hill, and I am very grateful to hike on up there and hang out with you for a few minutes once a week. I really am.
Uh,
Wow.
Thank you for doing this with me too. I feel like a lot of gratitude in this moment, actually, that we get to do this.
I know, right? I know.
Mhm.
Me too. Me too. It's again a testament of how doing things together can have the best outcomes. And that is it for this week's episode of Unboxing It. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for listening to Unboxing It. We're so glad you did. If you like what you heard and you want to help us keep making episodes, please leave us a rating wherever you heard this one. You can also subscribe to the Unboxing It Substack to get access to all of the latest news and some special bonus content. And hey, truly, don't forget to find some moments of joy today. You deserve them. Take care out there, and we'll see you next time.